let's learn the whip stitch. A whip stitch is used to connect two pieces of fabric together along the edges. And usually it's used when you're going to stuff something inside of it. In our case, this is going to be a pillow, but if you're making like a little monster or a little plushy toy, you would do the same thing to surround your edges. It uses up less fabric than a straight stitch, where you go up and down, you wind up with some lost fabric. So to begin the whip stitch, you need your needle, and you need it threaded on a piece of thread, a string. I have a knot at one end, and on the other end is my needle. And on this end, I need to make sure I have a little bit of a tail. So everyone, before you get started, just double check that you have a tail. This tail would be too short. It would come right off of my needle. This tail would be too long. Sometimes people put their needle right in the middle of the thread. That's way too long. So you're aiming for something about the length of your hand or less. I like to use it about the length of my finger. Okay, now take your needle, take your fabric, and the whole time we're sewing, we're going to make sure that we're keeping our fingers pinched right on top of the eye of the needle. Remember, the eye is where the hole is, and that's where the string passes through, or a thread passes through. So pinch it on here, and we are going to start by going top down. If you're left-handed, you might want to start in this corner. If you're right-handed, you might want to start in this corner, whatever feels comfortable for you. So pick a corner or an easy spot on the edge, and you're going to take your needle. Let's get really close here. I want you to just watch this, then we're going to all do it together. And I'm going to poke. And when I poke it through my fabric, I want to make sure it's going through both pieces. So poking, I've really got to push on this one. Using my thumb to press, and then I reach behind, and I'm pulling slowly, and as soon as the needle comes through, I'm going to grab right around the eye so that I'm holding that tail, and I'm going to pull. And there you can see my tail just went through. Now I'm going to keep pulling, 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 pulling until my knot catches. Now if I pull really hard, I could pop that knot through. So I'm not going to pull really hard, just enough till it catches. I'm going to bring my needle back, and I'm going to come right next to that knot. Not this close, not that far, about the distance of my finger, so about that far over. Poke it through, pull, pull, pull. I'm still pinching right on the eye of the needle, and as I pull, you'll notice that the string is starting to disappear. I put my finger here to help it go over. And now you can see the thread has sort of whipped around the fabric. It's called the whip stitch. It whips around. Poking through again, coming right next to that stitch. Pull. You can pull tight if you want now. But those stitches are locking all the way around my fabric. I'm going to do that all the way down this row. Sewing is really just a pattern of movements. The pattern for the whip stitch is push through the fabric, pull, push down through the fabric, pull, push down through the fabric, pull. And that's why some people find sewing calming, because it's just repetitive. And once you get used to the rhythm and the pattern, it can be very relaxing. Right now, it might feel frustrating. That's okay. I promise I will help you get through this. Okay, let's all do it together. Decide which corner you're going to start on. It doesn't matter. Make sure your clothespins are holding both pieces of fabric together, and that the fabric is the same size. Then pinch the corner you're going to start with your fingers. Take your needle, poke your needle into the corner, making sure it goes through both pieces of fabric. You can check, poke, pull it through. As soon as it's through, pinch that thread and the eye of the needle. Hold your fabric with one hand, needle with the other, and pull, pull, pull. Keep pulling until the knot catches. Okay. If you've got this step, go ahead and hold it up in the air so that I can see that your knot is attached to your fabric. Otherwise, keep pulling. We're going to do another stitch. Take your needle and come right next to where your knot was. Come just a little bit over. Do the same thing. Make sure your thread's out of the way. Poke it through the fabric, trying to stay in line. Pull it through the other side and pinch so that that thread doesn't come off of your needle when you're pulling. You got to hold it there. Pull, 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 pull. And you should have a little loop. You might need to move it. A little loop of thread. You've got your first whip stitch. You whipped it around once. Let's keep going. Take your needle. Same thing. Right next to it. Pull it through the other side. Pull, 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 pull. Come right next to your last stitch. Poke it through. I'm always starting from the top and pushing down. Pull till it catches, always remembering to hold on. Okay, you can go ahead and continue stitching across if you've got it. If you need some help, just raise your hand and I will try to make my way around the room.